What's up, everybody? My name is Scott Waters, and welcome to NoLifeTilMetal. It's time for my top 20 of 2021. That's right, time for my top 20 of 2021. 2021 was a great year for music. Actually, better than I thought it was. When I started doing my list, I had to pare it down quite a bit. I was wondering if I was going to have enough to do a top 20, but I ended up having like 40. So I had to cut quite a few things off of here, and I know there's going to be several that people are going to be like, I can't believe it didn't include that one. Like the new Iron Maiden. Yes, I have it. Yes, I like it. But I really had to pare it down to albums that just really, you know, worked for me, really called me in. Ones that I listened to over and over again. Ones that, you know, I put away and then wanted to go back and pull out and hear again. And so that's what this top 20 list is. So there's going to be a few things not on there that people are going to be like, I can't believe it on that. And there's a few things I just didn't get. I mean, I don't get this music for free. My channel is just something I do for fun. I don't get sponsored by any labels or anything like that. So, but yeah, there's a couple that I'm going to show real quick that aren't on the list. This is the new YNGWIE MALMSTEEN. Man, I struggled with putting this at number 20. But I just couldn't leave anything out. So almost left out number 20 for this, but decided to go with what I already had. So, and then this one I just received. Nice little Christmas present from a buddy of mine, Puddleglum, on YouTube. But his name is Marty, and wanted to thank Marty for this new NEAL MORSE band album. I haven't even heard it yet. I just received it for Christmas, and I just haven't had time to spin it. So looking forward to spinning it. NEAL MORSE band, progressive rock, awesomeness. All right, let's get into this list. I made a list, and I'm going to cross them out as I go through them so I don't mess it up like I did last year or the 2 times I've attempted this video before this one. I've actually messed this up a couple times already. So number 20, starting from the bottom. MOTIVIK, The Death of the Gunman. Fantastic album. Kind of a mixture of styles. If I had to stick it into one style, I'd say thrash metal. A lot of thrash influences on here. A few straightforward thrash metal songs on here, but they do experiment a bit, going into I don't even want to. I can't even say. It's just very well done music. Ryan Roebuck, I believe, is the saying his last name correctly, is one of the 2 main members of this band, and man, what a great guitar player, great songwriter, fantastic vocals. Really enjoyed this. There's also a cover on here of Souls in Torment, great thrash song from early 90s Sacrament album. Just good stuff. So if you dig thrash metal and you dig bands that, you know, aren't stuck in thrash for thrash sake style, check out this album. It really is one of those ones I listened to a lot over the year. MOTIVIK, Death of the Gunman. All right, next up, this is number 19. Thrash, Vulture, Metal Blade Records. I can't remember if this is their 2nd or 3rd album, but this is a newer band. But I just play this one a lot. And these guys definitely are thrash for thrash sake. These guys are all about, we are thrash metal, ooh, you know, death deposers, that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? If you're into that, just we are metal, all about metal kind of thing. That's what these guys are. They don't stray at all from that heavy metal, thrash metal sound. Just great stuff. Obviously, Metal Blade picked them up. They wouldn't put out total trash. I guess they have put out trash. But regardless, great album. It's not number 19 in my list, and it is one that I've spun quite a few times since I picked it up. As a matter of fact, when I really like an album, I tend to pick it up on both CD and vinyl, and this is another one of those ones that I picked up on CD and vinyl. MOTIVIK, however, is only available on CD, but I hear is a possibility it may come out on vinyl in 2022. I'm hoping that happens. I do know that they're working on a new album, so I'm looking forward to that. All right, number 18. Solo album from King's X bassist vocalist Doug Pinnick. This is Joy Bomb. I am a King's X fanatic. I have been since about 1988, I believe it was, when I first discovered them, and I just tend to like almost anything they do. This album is very experimental, very creative, very well done album from Doug. If you like Doug's solo stuff, if you like the Pound Hound stuff, you're probably going to dig this too. It's just that, you know, very soulful, bit funky at times, sometimes progressive and experimental, just really good, heavy, hard rock. Great album on Rat Pack Records from Doug Pinnick. Joy Bomb. Okay, we are chugging along here, and this time we're not messing things up. All right, number 17. This is from Spain. I think this is got to be their 7th, 8th album, somewhere in that area. But Angelus APATRIDA. APATRIDA. I always have a hard time pronouncing the last name for some reason. This is their self-titled album. This is just fantastic thrash metal. I mean, again, this band doesn't do this, full-on thrash for thrash metal thing. It's not like like an Exodus album. They do experiment a little bit and with their sound, and I kind of like what they've done. They're not like mixing in rap or jazz or weird stuff like that. They just slow it down at times, and they offer a bit more variety in their songwriting, which is probably why I like it so much. It doesn't get tiresome to listen to. It's not a complete jackhammer to the brain 100% of the time, although it probably is 90% of the time. The little hype sticker on here says the new self-titled album includes 10 crushing thrash metal songs, more determined, versatile, and ferocious than ever before, mixed and mastered by Zeus, Overkill, and Shadows Fall. So there you go. Really great album. Spain. If you don't know Angelus APATRIDA, do yourself a favor and look them up. I believe that's on Metal Blade Records too. Nope, Century Media Records. So that one should be pretty easy to find. Okay, next up, we were getting totally away from the thrash metal sound into a straightforward hard rock album from Cheap Trick, 70s hard rock band. Everybody knows who Cheap Trick is. Love their first 5 albums they did back in the 70s and early 80s. Love, of course, Live Budokan. Then they put out a ton of albums since then. Some of them I like a lot, some of them I didn't like, especially some of the more poppy, clean 80s stuff. But like the 1987 self-titled album, that's fantastic. And I think this one is too. What they've done is they retain that pop rock sound that they've always been known for, that power pop sound, but it's got a bit of an edge, and that's what I like. And everything sounds great on here. Robin Zander sounds as good as he ever has. It's just a fantastic album from them. So if you're into Cheap Trick and you haven't checked this one out, do yourself a favor. Check out Into Another World by Cheap Trick on BMG Music. All right. Switching gears again. I love this guy. I've been a fan since literally I was a kid of his main band, but this is one of his solo albums. This is D. SNIDER, and this is Leave a Scar. Can't remember how many solo albums he has out. I think this is at least his 3rd or 4th under the D. SNIDER moniker. He's got stuff under the Widowmaker moniker and other stuff too. Now, the 2nd and 3rd D. SNIDER albums I like, and I think they got better as they went on, especially the 3rd album, but this is the 4th album here. I just think it's fantastic. Now, D had said after the 3rd album that he was done, he was retiring, he was no longer going to do music, which is fine. I mean, he's up there in age, but dude's in great shape and he looks great. There is a picture on the back there. But his guitar player who played on this album and the last album, Charlie Belmore, decided, yeah, he's not going to retire. I'm going to go ahead and write a bunch of songs. So he did. Charlie Belmore went ahead and wrote a bunch of songs, and as he predicted, D decided he wasn't ready to retire and said, hey, I'm thinking about coming out of retirement. And he's like, well, good, because I wrote a bunch of songs. Well, there you go. This is the album that came from that. The difference here is that I think because Charlie wrote a lot of the songs, it's a different vibe. It's a more metal vibe, more, there's some thrash riffing in here. There's a bit of groove, but mostly a lot of heavy metal stuff. Really, really good stuff. Charlie did a great job writing the tracks here. And then D. SNIDER did a lot of the lyrics as well, where on the last album, and maybe the last 2 albums, I don't think he wrote any of the lyrics, or very few of them, and he just sang on the album. So this one's a bit more, where he puts some of himself into it, and I really think that's why it's such a good album and why I enjoy it so much. So, Leave a Scar by D. SNIDER. I did get to talk with Charlie Belmore on my other channel, the Metal Roundtable. We did an interview with him, and he was a great guy to talk to and has told some great stories. So, if you want to look that up, it's well worth watching. Next up, some UK death metal. Death metal. Memoriam. This album is great. I didn't buy a lot of death metal this year, but this is one I had to pick up. Memoriam, this is probably their 4th album, I'm guessing. Could be the 3rd. But Memoriam came out of the ashes of a Bolt Thrower. I don't think there's any members left in this band from Bolt Thrower. Maybe one, I can't remember now. But regardless, if you like that style, that more mid-paced, heavy, trudging, crushingly heavy sound that Bolt Thrower did, Memoriam are right up your alley. It's just really great stuff. It's not, it's not all blast beats like you sometimes think of when you think of death metal, but it's still really heavy with those great guttural vocals. And it's got melody, it's got hooks, it's got everything I love about death metal all wrapped into one package. So really good album from UK death metal band Memoriam. All right, staying in the UK, EVILE. This is Hell Unleashed on Napalm Records. Thrash, great thrash album. I mean, I like EVILE. I've liked EVILE. I bought their first album as a new album, and I liked it. But they never kind of like bowled me over to where I was like, I wanted to hear it over and over and over again. It was just like when I got into a mood to hear, you know, some sick thrash, I'd, you know, put on some EVILE. For some reason, this album really, you know, pulled me in and had me wanting to listen to it over and over again. First of all, I think they didn't overdo it. It doesn't have like, you know, 16 songs like a lot of albums do these days. It's got 9 tracks, and it's just 9 tracks of blistering thrash. So they didn't overstay their welcome, and they just put out one great album. So I really enjoyed this album from them. UK thrash band EVILE and Hell Unleashed. All right, now this is where I messed up last time, so we're not going to mess it up again, so I don't have to start this video over for the 3rd time. All right, next up, this band's been around since the 90s. Got to be their 6th, 7th album since that time. But this is BIOGENESIS. This is the new album. It's called Rise of the Phoenix. It is a concept album based on Jim Jones and the People's Temple. That whole situation that happened with all the people who, you know, drank the Kool-Aid, basically. Now, the story itself is kind of a fictional story, but it's based on the true story. So it's really interesting. I really enjoyed the album overall. I will say that when I first got the album, I was a little disappointed. Now, if you've seen my videos in the past, you probably remember that their last 2 albums also made my lists for those years. I believe 2019 was when Black Widow came out. Black Widow was really high on my list because I loved that album. I just think the band was at their pinnacle. They had this chemistry that was working for them, and they just put out a great album that was very much a prog rock album, but a little heavier than most prog, like almost like a Fates Warning or a Dream Theater, but much heavier than that. Well, this album here kind of moves away from the prog and gets just more into straightforward, almost thrash and metal, even touching on death metal. I'd never call this a death metal album, but it even touches on some death metal influences here and there. Chaz Bond even using some death growls and whatnot. But the reason for that is the whole band separated, so only the vocalist Chaz Bond remains. The rest of the band is formed a new band called After Winter, and they have a new album coming out in 2022 that I'm really looking forward to. But in the meantime, Chaz moved on with new members, and that's what you get here. The brand new BIOGENESIS, Rise of the Phoenix. If you pick this up and it didn't hit you at first, give it another chance, because honestly, it took me 3-4 listens, and I wasn't forcing myself to listen to it. I just, every once in a while, I kept saying, I'm going to give that one another chance. And after a while, I just really started liking it, and then I started just playing it over and over again in my car, to the point where, for a while, I had it in my car for a week, and I just was playing it over and over again. Every time I went somewhere, I was playing this album. So, great album, BIOGENESIS, Rise of the Phoenix. Enough on that one, moving on. This one just came out, I mean, right at the tail end of the year. This is the brand new VINDICATOR. This is COMMUNAL DECAY. Really enjoying this album. And, excuse me for one second. Cheers. Again, it's what you might expect from VINDICATOR. You know, it's thrash. And I guess funny thing is, I think, yeah, BIOGENESIS is from Ohio, and so is VINDICATOR. They're 2 Ohio bands right next to each other. Now, this album, though I love the music, I'm a little disappointed in the packaging. So it's just got a little 4-panel insert, and it's the artwork. The cover is freaking fantastic, but I just like packaging. You know, first of all, it's what I do for a living. Second of all, you know, I'm a collector, so I like things like that. So there's no photos in here or in that sort of stuff. Well, there's little teeny photos, but as you can see, the lyrics are there, but they're so hard to read. So I'm hoping that I can help to vindicate that this year. And in 2022, I'm hoping, and it's probably going to happen, we'll see, probably going to work with the band to release this on CD again with a full booklet, and also vinyl. So it needs a vinyl release. That cover is so awesome, it needs to be on vinyl. So anyhow, little self-promotion as well, but not because I just want to promote my label. I really like this band, VINDICATOR. They've been around since 2005. I think this has got to be at least their 4th or 5th or 6th album. They've got a bunch of EPs all mixed in there too, so that's why I don't know the exact number. But like I said, great stuff. Hopefully we'll get to see that come out this year on expanded booklet, CD, and vinyl. Okay, next up. I didn't order this one on vinyl yet, but new Exodus. My gosh, this is a hammer to the brain. Just front to back destruction. I mean, it's just speed for speed's sake. It is pummeling riffs, you know, just that steady machine gun riffing. I mean, Gary Holt is just a monster. Excuse me, great riffs on here, great songwriting, and Steve Zosa sounds as good as he ever has. I mean, I've long been an Exodus fan, so it's no big surprise, but yeah, this is great. So definitely worthy of being in the top 10, this being at number 10 in my top 20 list of 2021. Okay, next up, Vinyl. This is a newer band. This is only their second album. They've been around for a few years, but they, I think the last album was like 2018, so it's been a few years. But this is their brand new album. This is Fury of the Ages. This is U.S. power metal, heavily influenced by the European power metal scene. You know, bands like Gamma Ray and Halloween and Brainstorm and those kind of. If you like that sound, you're probably gonna dig this too. Not that it's all double bass. You know, when I tend to think of some power metal, I tend to think double bass full on through. That's not the case here. There's a lot of variety, great songwriting, awesome vocals. Guitar player definitely studied at the Yngwie Malmsteen School of Shredding. So if you're into that style of, you know, power metal, I can't imagine you wouldn't love this album. I've listened to it over and over again. And again, this is one of those ones that, like I said, if I really like an album, I tend to buy it on CD and vinyl, and I went ahead and I have this one on CD and vinyl. Like a lot of these that I'm showing now, I have them on both formats. So great stuff. Like I said, vocalist Jeremy, he's got a very unique voice. You know, you won't mistake him for anybody else, but he also has a really good voice. I really enjoy his style and the whole band's sound. Okay, number 8 is a tie. So I guess I really have 21 for 2021. So this is the new U.D.O, which is titled Game Over. And no surprise here, the new Accept. This is Too Mean to Die. Both these albums are stellar, and I just can't stop listening to either one of them. If you like Accept, I mean, jump on both these because they're both so good. To me, this is the best album they've done since Blood of the Nations. It may even be better than Blood of the Nations. I don't know. It's right up there. I just really enjoyed it. I mean, there's just some great hooky songs, some fantastic riffing, excellent vocals from Mark Tornillo, and there's even a great instrumental on here, which, you know, it's not the first time Accept's done a killer instrumental. As well, same thing with the U.D.O. I mean, I actually looked at the band members, and there's like nobody left from the classic U.D.O. U.D.O. lineup from the 90s or even the 80s. But still, it sounds like classic U.D.O. and I mean, it's just. I heard someone say they didn't like it because it was paint by numbers metal. I don't know what the heck that means, because there's so many different genres and styles of metal out there these days. To hear someone just play something straightforward, driving heavy metal, I really enjoyed this. And U.D.O's still got that raw voice that, you know, is instinctively his. And there's just some great songs on here. I will say, I think it would have been better if the album would have been a bit shorter. I know that's a weird thing to say because people always want more, but there are 16 songs on this sucker, so it's a little hard to take all in one shot, but regardless, there's some great stuff on here. I think I See Red is a fantastic song. Like a Beast is another fantastic song. Really like in the song I See Red, there's this kind of... the riff starts out kind of a down-picked chugging riff, and then it kind of warps, and then it comes back again. I really don't know. It's a little odd thing that I just really found cool on the record. So, and of course, with every U.D.O. record, there's the mandatory ballad, and there's one of them on here too. So, U.D.O. and Accept coming in at number 8. Number 7 is an album that people either seem to love or hate. KK's Priest. Again, this is one that I pre-ordered. I ordered the autographed copy. It is only autographed by KK. I was kind of thinking it would be autographed by the whole band, but okay, regardless. It's also not autographed on the cover, which is one of the other disappointments. It's actually autographed on a little card that's inserted. Still cool. Of course, you got Ripper Owens singing on this thing, and Ripper's fantastic. The whole band is fantastic. I've heard people that don't like it are saying it's cheesy metal, it's cheesy lyrics. Man, who doesn't like a big old slab of cheddar once in a while? You know what I'm saying? It's just, I don't know. To me, it sounds like classic Priest. Like, if you dig Priest, I can't understand why you wouldn't dig this. I mean, if you think this is cheesy, then you must think Priest is cheesy too, because it's, I mean, the lyrics aren't that much different. Yeah, they do this typical metal, like they got a song on here called Metal Through and Through, but then again, so does U.D.O. The last U.D.O.'s got a song on here called Metal Never Dies, so who cares, man? It's, you know, I love metal, so metal. This is a great album. You know what? Give it another chance if you didn't like it. Really, listen to it and see, and check it out. I'm just surprised that anybody who likes Priest wouldn't like this album. I just think some people are just Priest purists, and because it's not Rob Halford and KK Down, I mean, and Glenn Tipton all together, they can't like it. But to me, I'm glad that KK's putting out great music like that still. Cheers. All right, we are at number 6. Excuse me. Shocker to me, but this is Todd LaTorre's new album, Rejoicing in the Suffering. I kind of put this one off for a long time. I ended up buying it on CD only because I waited too long. But my buddy Metal Rob from the Metal Roundtable kept saying, dude, you need to get it. You're going to love that album. It's, to me, I was just thinking, the last few Queensryche albums were okay, but they didn't like bowl me over. His vocals are great, but the songwriting was just kind of okay. It's just, I don't know, there's just, they didn't pull me in. This album is heavy. Now, when I say heavy, people are going to think, you know, death metal or thrash metal or metal. It's not that kind of thing. It is heavy, straightforward, heavy metal, some driving, riffing, just put it next to that D. Snider album, because that's kind of what you're going to get. You know, pushing the border towards speed at times, but great vocals, great hooks, great melody, great metal from Todd LaTorre. Rejoice in the Suffering on Rat Pack Records. All right, we are at number 5, the top 5. These albums I played so much it's ridiculous. This is the new Brainstorm, German power metal band. I actually had to look it up because these guys, I kind of think of these guys as a newer band, but they've been around a long time. They have a lot of albums out. I actually looked it up. This is their 13th studio album, not including EPs and live albums and all that kind of stuff. 13 albums, and they're still putting out the same great German power metal that they've been putting out since the beginning. You know, just chock full of hook, chock full of memorable riffing, memorable songwriting. I love Brainstorm, man. I just wish all their albums were released on vinyl. Unfortunately, most of the early stuff is not. But here's hoping that in 2022 we might see some Brainstorm released. Wall of Skulls is the new album on, I believe it's AFM Records. Just straightforward heavy metal, power metal, whatever you want to call it. Great album from Brainstorm. All right, where are we at here? At number 4. All right, number 4, I will admit this is another one of those albums like the Biogenesis that caught me off guard at first, and I wasn't impressed on the first couple listens. But this is the new Detritus. These guys haven't put an album out since 1993. They put out 2 albums back in the 90s on Music for Nations. They were a thrash band, a great thrash band, as a matter of fact. I loved their first 2 albums, which is why this album, when it came out, I was like, man, that's not thrash. Because that's what I was expecting. You know, I was expecting thrash metal. And there are some songs on here that push the boundaries of thrash metal, and you know, most people probably call it thrash, but for the most part, this is just a great heavy metal album. There is some speed, there is some doom, there's a little bit of all different styles of traditional heavy metal mixed in here. It doesn't never get into death metal or extreme metals, but man, this is just so good. The more I listened to it, the more I liked it, and I just continued to play it over and over again. And once again, one of those albums, I liked it so much, I had to get the CD and the vinyl. The vinyl was not cheap because it was only released in Europe, and picking it up over here was like $40. But to me, it was worth it because it got that much spin time, and it's just, you know, I figure if I put the money into an album and I listen to it a lot, I'm getting my money's worth out of it. You know, I'm enjoying it. So, great band, Detritus from the UK. Highly recommend checking this album out if you haven't. I do know that getting the vinyl you can get pretty much, the CD you can pretty much everywhere, but the vinyl I think you can get, I think boomsoverstock.com has copies, but this is what I actually put out on Embryo Records out of the UK. So, Detritus, I can't remember the name of the album, Myths. Detritus, Myths. There you go. Okay, we are at number 3. Number 3 is going to break a rule for me, and in the past I did not include live albums and or EPs. This is an EP, but holy crap, this thing is good. I mean, I've played this thing a ridiculous amount of times. And it's funny, every time I play it, my wife's like, and she comes into the room, and as I'm listening to it, she'll be like, man, that's some angry music. So, but this is the brand new FORBODE Texas doom metal. Little bit of death mixed in, doom death metal. If you're a fan of like bands like PARABELLUM, the first one that came to mind for me, even like that MEMORIAM that I showed earlier, you probably dig this as well. I mean, it's kind of like a traditional doom metal with death vocals, but 4-song EP. The songs are kind of long, but yeah, I just, like I said, over and over and over again, I played this thing. So this is a newer band. I think this is only their second release, and both of them have been EPs. Kind of hoping they'll put a full length out, and maybe we even work with a label to get some vinyl out in the future. But right now, all we have is the CD. But regardless, this thing is fantastic. Don't know where it's available at. I would check for the band FORBODE, FOREBODE, FORBODE, and look them up on online and see if you can pick it up directly from the band, because it's definitely worth getting. FORBODE, the Pit of Suffering, 2021, Texas doom metal. Number 2, wearing the shirt. Wait, there you go, wearing the shirt. Blood in the Water, Flotsam and Jetsam. I'm a Flots head, Flots for life. What can I say? I love this band, but if you've watched past videos on past albums, they've probably made my list, but not this high. Coming in number 2 is very high because it's just a great album from them, and one of those ones that I've spun over and over and over again. Now, it might be, excuse me, that I also saw these guys live, and they played a few of these songs live, which really, sometimes seeing a band live really brings their music to life, and that's definitely the case with this one. But even before I saw them live, I was playing this thing over and over again. So if you're into Flotsam's thrashier stuff, this album is worth getting. And the thing about this one is, I think the album it has a lot of hook. It's got a lot of the the elements that call you back and want you to listen to it over and over again. Enough hook to catch a killer whale. So that's what you got going on there. Flotsam and Jetsam, Blood in the Water, fantastic album from a classic band. Nice return to form for them. Although I really love one of their more recent albums, Ugly Noise, is one of my favorites too. Although it's really different style-wise than this one. Regardless, all right, number 1. No shock to anybody who's watched my channel. I've played this one over again and over again. Kind of had a dark period for a while where I was struggling with some emotional issues, and this album really just was one of those albums I just couldn't get off the turntable or out of the CD player. Again, got them both. Triton, Blood of Kings. This is some fantastic progressive rock, progressive metal. I feel like that, the Fates Warning, Dream Theater, even the Neil Morse style of progressive metal, do yourself a favor and check out the new Triton album. This is their first album since I think their last album came out in 89, 90, something like that. They only put out 2 albums in the 80s. They're kind of the early 80s too, and they kind of broke up for a while, and they're back. Larry Dean being the main guy in the band, guitar player, songwriter, singer. They've also got Jim Gillette in the band. Now, Jim Gillette, you might recognize that name because he also plays in the Neil Morse band. So, the guy is a freaking musical wizard. I mean, just awesome. And then bass player Jim Laverty. Great album. What can I say? Like I said, this is the album. I definitely played this album more than any other album in 2021. Still, this album came out at the beginning of the year, and I'm still spinning it over and over again. Available on CD and vinyl, like I said. It's available on Amazon. You can pick it up pretty much anywhere. But I do know that BoonesOverstock.com also has vinyl copies available. So there you go. There's my number 1, 2021, Triton, Blood of Kings. So again, I appreciate you all watching. I appreciate all the people who comment over the year, over the past year, all the conversations I've had, all the friends that I've made. You guys rule. I do this channel not for money. I don't make anything off this channel. I don't do advertising. I don't have sponsors. I just do it because I love metal and I love sharing it with people. And I definitely appreciate all you who watch. So that's it. God bless. Stay strong. Happy New Year.